career?
I guess my time at Texas State, it was good. I mean, I kind of got an idea for what I wanted to do when I got there. I knew I wanted to be in sports. I originally wanted to be a sports anchor. And then once I kind of got my feet wet in that, I interned at the Fox affiliate in Austin at Fox 7 in the sports department. And that kind of made me realize I didn't want to be a sports anchor, but I fell in love with the behind the camera side of the business, the production side. And so that kind of set me on my path, so to speak. I enjoyed the TV news class that I took there with Dr. England and the classes I took with Dr. Niekamp and Larry Carlson. And so I had a lot of good professors there. And combined with my internship experience, I was able to get an internship out of college once I graduated with the Houston Texans, again, doing kind of what I do now, which was entertainment production. Ultimately that led to me kind of working up the ladder and getting to where I am now. I've worked a couple other jobs in baseball after that Texans internship. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Texas State, it set me on my path. I figured out what I wanted to do. I was proactive in doing jobs and internships that related to what I wanted to do for a career. I also worked for KTSW a little bit while I was there too. So, but yeah, that was my time at Texas State as it related to my future career. And it kind of set me on the path.
That's really cool. That's interesting that you went from wanting to be like a sports anchor to doing what you do now. But yeah, that's really interesting. So I was going to ask you like what classes at Texas State best prepared you for your career, and you said like the TV news class. Is that what you said?
Yeah. That probably would have been the biggest one, just because it gives you the experience of going out and shooting a story, editing, working with people, to put together a Bobcat update, which, I was on that and in that class. And we also, of course, did all the stories that went on to that show. And so really just, I enjoyed the behind the scenes stuff, again, shooting stories, editing, speaking to people, working to put that newscast, that broadcast together. Everyone got their chance in front of the camera, and I enjoyed being on there a couple times, but again, I kind of learned pretty quickly between that and my Fox internship in Austin that I really didn't want to be in camera as much as I thought I had in the beginning. And so, again, the TV news class, a couple of the classes were fun too. I had a sports class with Larry Carlson, which I know he was still teaching up until before COVID. And then there was a class of Dr. Niekamp, I think. I don't know if he's still there or not, but I know Dr. England is. But those are probably the three that really I enjoyed most and also helped me get to where I am.
That's really cool. Awesome. Okay. So how long have you been working with Ballpark Entertainment and all? Because I saw on your LinkedIn it was kind of like separated out, kind of like you started with them and then you left and then you came back.
Yeah, and so it's an interesting how I ended up back here. So I interned with the Texans right out of college, and then after that internship was coming to an end, and so I was just kind of looking for what else was out there. Ultimately, I wanted a full-time job, but I found an internship here in Round Rock. I kind of blindly sent my resume in, to be honest. Like, they weren't really hiring per se, but it just kind of worked out. It was kind of luck, honestly. The guy that ultimately hired me here in Round Rock for my internship after the Texans, he had just moved here. He was new to the area, new to the job. He just had a kid. So he needed some help. And I sent my resume in and they forwarded it to him. And then out of the blue, he called me. He was like, "Hey, I know we're not really like hiring, but I could use some help this year. It's part-time, seasonal, basically just working games. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Hell yeah." So my supervisor in Houston actually knew him through some contacts, and so he was able to give me a reference. And I spent that season after that year in Round Rock, I spent interning here. At the end of that season, they were looking for somebody full-time down in Corpus Christi with the Astros AA team, the Hooks. And so between the experience that I had in Houston and then a full season interning in Round Rock, I was ready for that job, and so they hired me full time, and been working full time in baseball ever since. So it's been, like, I guess to answer your question, the long-winded answer, it's been about a decade, probably actually about 11 years now, maybe 12. that I've been working in baseball, in entertainment production and marketing in general.
Wow. It's a long time. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's flown by, man. I mean, you watch, if you have a team that you follow, I mean, it's crazy how fast sports seasons go by. And man, I tell you, when you work at like 70 games, it goes by in the blink of an eye. Like I actually, I hate the off season because it's honestly a little bit boring compared to the season. There's a lot of prep work that goes into the coming season, but it's not as fun as working an actual season to me. And so now with COVID, having not had a season this past year, we're staying busy. I'm thankful to still be employed. We're doing a lot of events, concerts, running the ballpark out for batting practice, you name it. We're kind of doing everything these days. But it's just not as fun for me as working a baseball season.
Right. And I mean, everything's kind of started like like baseball season kind of started right when COVID was happening.
Yeah.
So that, yeah. So how did you deal with like all the unexpected changes of that? How did that?
Um, it was crazy because at that point, when we first shut everything down, when pretty much the whole country shut down at once, we didn't know if we were going to be delayed, a couple weeks or a couple months, or eventually we got to the point where it got very apparent that we weren't going to have a season at all. And so, in the beginning, we were still planning as if we're going to have a season. We were coming up with alternate, uh, plans for our season. Okay, we're going to lose 10 games. Where do we push this theme night? Where do we push this giveaway? How do we kind of come up with new schedules on the fly for our season and our giveaway items? Like, when are we going to give these out? And so when it became apparent that we weren't going to have a season, we lasted as long as we could without having to let go of anybody. But ultimately, unlike, or just like every other professional team out there, we had to let some people go. And so that was a hard day. We let go of 40% of our full-time staff. I think it was late May that happened. So we, it is what it is. I mean, it's hard, especially right now to crack the sports industry, just because, teams are scaling back on their expenses. And obviously a lot of teams like us, minor league teams, there's no season at all. And so, again, we've stayed busy since then to now. Sorry. Again, we've hosted some concerts. We've rented out our fields for fans to take batting practice. We've rented out our pool during the summer. We've had, we actually have a rodeo coming up this weekend, the Austin Rodeo. We've worked with them, and we're going to have bull riding Friday night and Saturday night. So, we've done all kinds of stuff. We've got some more events in the works for the off season. But we're basically an event venue now as opposed to just a baseball team.
Yeah. How are y'all doing concerts and stuff? I'm just curious. Like, how is that working?
We're doing them very carefully. So we have to abide, of course, by the state and the city regulations. The first one that we did, honestly, was it was July 4th, and that was really cool. And that actually is, even though I've been back here about 5+ years now, that's one of my new favorite memories here, because we had been shut down. Everybody else was shut down. Nobody was doing anything. Austin is a lot more strict on their rules than we are in Round Rock and Williamson County. So, we saw the opportunity. Granger Smith was the artist we had out here, and he was wanting to play, and he actually lives in Georgetown. So it was kind of an easy thing to put together. But nobody else was doing anything. Everything else was shut down. And so we were excited, but we also had to be really careful in how we put it on, because, we put all the rules in place, having to wear masks and literally painting squares on the field 6 feet apart so that fans were socially distant, making our concourses one-way traffic so that, people aren't going against the grain and mingling with people. We just tried to make it as safe as we could. And so at the end of the day, we did it. And when we opened the gates, it's like, okay, we're here. Now everybody has to follow the rules. And so, if a bunch of people decide I'm not going to wear a mask, or I'm just going to rush the stage, that's it, game over. And we probably can't do this ever again. And so we were lucky. Everybody followed the rules. I think everybody was just happy, honestly, to be at a concert. And so, it went really well. We've done a few more since then. We had Co Wetzel here a couple of weeks ago. Again, we've got, bull riding coming up this weekend. We actually had a short college season. It was Basically, it's the equivalent. I don't know if anybody's heard of the Cape Cod League. It's a very prominent wood bat summer league that college players play in during the summer to kind of stay in shape and stay sharp. So there's a league in Texas like that too. And we hosted a team. It was only 15 games, so we did get to host a few baseball games here this summer. But same thing for both the concerts, baseball, bull riding, you name it. Everything's, we have a lot of procedures in place. All staff are wearing masks. We require all of our guests to wear masks. Again, one-way traffic, socially distant seating. We've had to mark off sections of our seating bowl. Only some rows are available. Only some sections are available. So, it's not your typical seating like it normally is at a ball game during non-COVID times. But again, really just, we've done everything we've done by just coming up with rules that are compliant with our county and our city. And luckily, everyone's followed them so far. So that's how I guess.
That's good. So what would you say has been your biggest challenge in dealing with, like, in planning everything and dealing with everything?
I think the planning we've got down pretty good to this point, because every event that we do to this point, we know, where people are going to be able to sit. We know how we have to prep the field, prep the seating bowl. We know what rules we have to have in place. So the planning of it isn't that hard. Executing is a little bit different for everyone. Again, bull riding is different from a concert, which is different from a baseball game. And so it honestly just kind of depends on the event, how we prep for it. If we're doing a concert, my job is a little bit easier. I don't have as many graphics to make. I don't have as many people that I need to hire to work that game. Because once the bands start playing, it's pretty much just the camera crew doing their job and, throwing up a few graphics between songs or between sets. And so it's a little easier. It's if it's a baseball game or, bull riding coming up, there's going to be a lot more of a run of show, a lot more of a script that we have to follow. And so in that instance, there is a lot more work on me to prepare graphics, and I might need some extra hands to run different areas in the control room. We are following a script in that event, like bull rider A happens here, and then bull rider B happens here. And then after that, we go to a commercial break. And then after that, we're going to do a few readers or have our mascot out in the field for a skit or something like that. And so the preparing just depends on the event itself. It's nothing we haven't done before. So it's not like we're doing anything super out of the ordinary, but again, we're happy, whatever it is, we're just happy to be working at this point right now. So
Yeah, definitely. Moving forward, how do you think the event planning business and venue strategies of a ballpark will be changed in light of coronavirus?
That's a good question. So for us in particular, and all of minor league baseball, it's strange because in addition to COVID, we minor league baseball and major league baseball, they have this long-standing agreement that they usually re-up every 10 years. And so this off season, it was time to re-up. And Major League Baseball, if you were to look into this, you can find stuff on ESPN, Baseball America. But Major League Baseball kind of wanted to change the dynamic of the relationship between Major League Baseball and minor league baseball. So the amount of teams that they have, they want to change. There's 160 affiliated teams in all of minor league baseball. They want to cut that back to like 120. They want to spend less on travel, which means they want to relook at all the geographical alignment. So for example, this past season, the Washington Nationals, their AAA team was in Fresno, California. That makes no sense because they have to spend so much money on travel, getting their players to and across the country. If somebody gets hurt at the major league level, it's going to take them, 2 days to get there. So there's a lot of logistics like that where Major League Baseball wants to cut expenses and make things easier for themselves. And so we are still trying to figure out what's going to happen in the off season, or I guess we're in the off season. We've been in the off season for a while now, but we honestly don't know what's going to happen here in Round Rock. We feel pretty good because we have a great ownership group, a great stadium. We've got a great track record of being one of the more elite teams in minor league baseball. And so we feel good about, we're not going to get cut like somebody who is in the middle of nowhere with kind of a, podunk stadium, to be honest. We're not really in that boat. And so at the same time, though, we don't know, are we still going to be affiliated with the Astros next year? Are we going to go to the Rangers? Or are we going to are we going to host another college season? Because who knows when we're going to start? Are we still going to start on time? There's still a lot of questions to be answered. So, yeah, still a lot of unknown for us, but again, that makes it hard to plan, honestly. At the same time, some of the stuff that we had to plan for this year, we don't have to worry about as much. Like one of my jobs in the off season is ordering all of our giveaway items. So all the bobbleheads, backpacks, all the fun stuff that we give out of the gates. All those items are here because we didn't have a season. And so we just push all those to next year. So that part saves a little bit of trouble on my end. And there's a few things like that across the board that, some people, we don't have to worry about doing this off season, but at the same time, there's also still a lot of unknown. So we plan as best we can, but we're just waiting for answers like everybody else.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting though. Like that's how people are just going to cut back on the amount of teams and everything. I didn't think that was going to be the answer, but yeah, that's awesome. Not awesome, but yeah, that's crazy. All right, so we don't want to dwell on coronavirus too much and focus on future careers. Do you have any advice to future event planning and entertainment industry professionals?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've talked to Larry's class a couple times over the last few years. I've had the privilege to go back to campus and visit with some students and talk about my career in his class. And one thing that I usually say is, get experience while you can, while you're in college. Again, I did stuff at KTSW. I got the internship at the Fox affiliate in Austin, which really helped me out. It helped me with my resume when I did graduate. I think that's one of the things that helped me stand out when I got that internship with the Houston Texans after I graduated, because I mean, God knows how many people applied for that. And, I was lucky enough to get it. And I think my supervisor who I had there kind of told me that. I was like, well, he has some good experience, which is, why he made the final cut. And so getting experience, whether it's there on campus or somewhere out in the community nearby for another entity, it goes a long way. So, if you know what you want to do, again, just get experience any way you can. And that's really the biggest piece of advice that I have, is just try to make yourself stand out. And if you know what you want to do, again, doing things that will relate to somebody who's hiring for that particular job is only going to help you. So that's really the biggest piece of advice. Get experience in any way you can, paid or not. Luckily, mine was paid in Houston, but it wasn't in Fox. And so I had to drive to Austin, 2 or 3 times a week. It was just for credit, but at the end of the day, it helps big time. So experience.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. This has been wonderful. I think we can go ahead and open it up for questions from the audience. Everyone can hit their participants button at the bottom of their screen, and that new window will pop up and it will give you a raise hand button. And if you want to ask Steve a question, just please hit that button and I will call on you.
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and kick us off because Steve, I didn't realize the extent to which your job kind of crosses over into production as far as like the graphics and the audio and everything. So would you mind just kind of clarifying for me like what your day looks like on a game day, so that we can kind of understand all the different pieces that you're handling?
Yeah, sure. A typical game day, I'll get here in the morning. The first thing I do is I start working on the game script. So I run a show. And so depending on what day of the week it is, or if we have a theme night happening that night, like let's say it's, 90s night, I'll start planning out our game script accordingly, what promotions we're doing, when they take place during the game, what corresponding graphics or music or props might go along with that. I come up with 3 different scripts, honestly. So one is for our production crew in the control room. One is it's a 1-sheeter version for our promotions team, which was much more simplified. And then the other one is our PA script, it mirrors everything, but that's for our PA announcer. So that's the first thing I do when I get to work in the morning is I put together the game script. After that, I update any graphics for that day. So, we change the team that we're playing, I'll swap out all the graphics on the main board for the sponsor loop, for the line score, since that's got the team logos on it, our marquee that sits out on the roadside, our standing lineup boards, pretty much anything graphically that needs to be updated, whether it's standings, promotions, whatever, I swap those out. And then after that, I'll try to work a little bit ahead for following projects that are coming up. So, big stuff down the road, if it's a video piece or something, I always try to leave myself like an hour or two to work ahead a little bit for the next day and for the next homestand. And then we'll have a production meeting in the afternoon. Again, we'll go over with the promotions team what they need to be doing, when they need to be doing it, what kind of contestants they need to find, what they're giving out that day. If there's a giveaway, we'll have them assigned at certain gates to give stuff out. So we'll also meet with the camera crew so they know what's going on each break by break, what they need to be shooting, where they need to be shooting it from. Then of course all the other little pieces together, pregame, like anthem singers, first pitches, getting all that in order, making sure we have people to assign to those folks. And then once the actual game gets started, it's pretty much just following that script. During a game day, I actually do a couple jobs at once. I run our music, so I'm in charge of audio, and then I also run one of our graphics / video computers, one of our media computers. So, if we drop in a video commercial at a certain time, or just a funny movie clip to mimic a scenario that's going on during the ball game, if we got strike somebody out, we play a movie clip to go with it. That's me as well. And so, and then of course I oversee everything else in the control room, our camera crew, our graphics computer, our replay operator, our PA announcer, scoreboard operator, stats computer. So those folks all know what they're doing, but I still have to oversee all that. If there's like if the score guy gets off, I have to run over and help him out, make sure it's correct and everything. So a lot of moving parts, but I've been doing it for a while now, so it kind of comes second nature to me. But that's, I guess in a nutshell, that's a ball game. So
that is awesome. There's so many hats that it sounds like you're wearing all at the same time. And I have to say, I've been to a lot of AAA games. I used to live in Hutto, right at 79 and 45. So I was right down the street from the ballpark. And you do the sound effects very well based on what's going on. And not all stadiums are great at that, but y'all are really great at that. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we tell, in a nutshell, when I tell people, it's like, well, it's a ticket sales job to get people in the ballpark. And then and me and the promotions team, it's our job to make sure that they have a good time so that they want to come back. So I appreciate hearing stuff like that. It's good to hear.
Absolutely. We look forward every year to going and seeing you guys. It's a big family affair when we go. So
awesome.
Yeah. All right. Other questions from the audience?
I saw your comment over there. Hope to have Larry back soon, at least virtually.
Yeah. I think he's going to come back and do some stuff in January for us virtually. So I love Larry. He's wonderful. So I'm hoping.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Okay, Jacob, I see you've got a question.
Yeah. So Steve, when did you realize that that's what you wanted to do, was to run the ballpark, like manage the ballpark with the way that you do now after your internship?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think like my last year of college, I mentioned I kind of figured out that I like the behind the camera stuff, but to do that for like a news station is very different than doing that here at the ballpark. And so I honestly, that first internship with the Texans, I think is where I figured that out, because that's where I got a taste of what I do now. Putting the game script together, running audio, scheduling promotions during the week for an NFL game. That's kind of where I realized like, hey, doing this for a sports team is pretty cool. And so, that's where I really learned that I enjoy putting together the game day experience, so to speak. That first internship out of college made me realize that.
Cool. Thanks.
So I have another one. If students were, I know right now, like you said, everybody is really paring down, but some of our students aren't going to graduate until August of next year. Some of them are in December and May of next year still. So if they were going to be looking for internships or promo positions or things like that, just to get their foot in the door, where would you suggest that they look for these types of jobs?
The general answer is there's a website. It's called teamworkonline.com. And so they literally post everything for all industries, both professional and collegiate across the nation. So yeah, teamworkonline.com is a great reference. And especially if you're willing to work anywhere in the country, if you're not just set on working in Texas, by all means, check that one out. That's how I found the Texans internship. And then after that, it was all just connections that I made and that got me to where I am. And so, but yeah, again, if you're just entry level, that's probably the best resource. And again, hopefully like in a year from now or, 6 months, hopefully people start hiring folks back. At some point sports are going to open up more, we're lucky in Texas here in Florida. There's a few states that, we're allowing a lot of fans in the ballpark and slowly opening back up, getting a little bit of normalcy back in our lives. But hopefully, by April when baseball's back again, it's a little bit more like that across the country. And, at the end of the day, like, you have to have enough people to run a game. So, there's only so much you can do with the minimal staff. And so ultimately people are going to have to start hiring again. So hopefully it's sooner than later. But again, if you're willing to work anywhere, entry level to get your foot in the door, again, check out teamworkonline.com and and maybe come check out a game here too. We'll be happy to show you the ropes, give you a sneak peek of the control room just to see what it's like behind the curtain. But hopefully we get some normalcy soon and some more opportunities open up across the country.
Absolutely. I'm going to keep asking questions unless we've got questions popping up. Sorry, did you have one, Taylor?
Yeah, I have one from Sydney. Okay, how was the transition from working with a bigger team to going to a smaller team in Round Rock, and which one do you prefer?
That's a good question. So one thing I don't think I've mentioned this, but I was with the Astros for a couple of years as well. When I went there, I got out of Ballpark Entertainment. I was more grassroots marketing. So I managed our promotions team, which I had done before. Obviously, that's kind of what made me qualified to do that. But I managed a promotions team that was out and about in the streets, the street team, and then that team also worked the games themselves. And so, having worked for both the Texans and the Astros, working for a bigger team, I mean, it's cool, like, to say that you worked, I work for the Texans, or I work for the Astros, like, it's cool. And being a big city, I'm actually from Houston, so being back in my hometown was fun as well. The only thing is that, there's a lot more bureaucracy, there's a lot more red tape working for a major organization like that. I prefer working here in Round Rock. Even my time in Corpus was awesome too, just because you have a lot more creative freedom. It's a smaller staff, which, you might have to wear more hats, but in a way that's also a good thing too, because you become very well versed in a lot of different, job duties, and you get your hands dirty in a lot of different areas that you probably wouldn't get to do otherwise. And so, especially this year, man, for those of us that are lucky enough to still be employed here, that weren't let go back in May, we have literally done anything and everything. And some stuff, it's not as fun as others. I've learned how to do a lot of stuff. I've learned a lot of the nuances of the ballpark. I've learned how to run our home run dugout facility, which if you haven't heard of that or seen that, it's like a Top Golf, but for baseball. And it's out in our right field area. But I've learned how to run that, which I didn't know how to do before. And, the flip side of that is that we've also had to pick up trash and clean bathrooms just because we have been not hiring cleaning teams to save money. And so, but at the same time though, I mean, I literally know how to do almost everything here now. So again, that's the thing advantage to working in minor league baseball or a minor league sport compared to like a professional team in Houston, is that you get to learn a lot more. You get to be a lot more involved. It is more of a tight knit group. It's more of a family. Tenfold than it is at an organization where maybe you have 300 employees, where here, even before we had let people go, we were maybe 50. So again, I enjoy it more here. Creative freedom, you can't put a price on that, especially in the role that I'm in. You don't have to go get something approved by 12 different people. Really, I just let my boss know if I want to do something, and she's pretty lax on letting me do what I want. She knows that I've been doing this for a while, and she trusts me. And so it's hard to put a price tag on creative freedom, and again, just being able to learn a lot more. It's I enjoy it much here more than there.
So I guess I have like a follow-up question or a comment that I for my previous question is, I'm applying to PR firms for post grad, and I've been like struggling on if I want to work for a bigger agency or a smaller agency. But would you agree that there's more value and like education in smaller agencies rather than like, would you say that's the way to go basically?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not a PR major, but I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Just because, again, the minor league side, for my job or for really any job, I mean, even sales here in Round Rock, like, our salespeople like help do other stuff too. They don't just sell all day. Like, once the game starts, they'll check up on their clients and stuff, but they'll even help us run a promotion or hand out giveaway items, or they'll help fill in where need be during a game. And so really, it's just, I feel like you get a lot more experience. You become a lot more well-rounded working for a smaller company than a big one. Not to knock big companies again too, because that could look good on a resume. Like, again, if I work for the Astros or the Texans, like, that might jump out to somebody on a resume, but I learn a lot more. I become a lot more well-rounded working here as opposed to working there. And again, too, my first, after my internship in Houston, like my next job was here in Round Rock as an intern, and then I went to Corpus for 4 years, where I learned a lot, which ultimately made me pretty well rounded to work in more than just production. So yeah, I just to cut to the chase, yeah, I agree. Like working for a small company, again, in my experience, you get more educationally, more on the experience side, and makes you more well rounded. So.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
I mean, I don't know. I'm really happy here right now. Honestly, I think I'm not really, sounds kind of lame, but I don't really have a, career goal for 5 years from now. I'm happy to just kind of go where life takes me. I've got a house here and a wife and kids, and they're really small, and they're just my oldest one is starting to get into school. And so, we're pretty happy in life where we are right now. And again, too, at this point, I'm just lucky to be here right now because, we had to let go of so many people, and there's so much unknown about next season. Like the fact that my job, like, I feel lucky because I'm the only one on staff that knows how to run that control room that's on the other side of this wall back here. And so, not to say I'm bulletproof, but I feel like I have more job security because of what I do right now. And so I'm honestly just happy to be here right now. I enjoy my job. I enjoyed it a lot before COVID hit. And so I'm not really looking to make a move right now. And so, once we get back to some normal life, I'll kind of see where that goes, see where life takes me in a couple of years. And, if something opens up somewhere else or in Austin or, Houston, Dallas, wherever it may be, I'm open to look at opportunities, but right now I'm just kind of happy where I am.
I hope that we can all find positions, and that you guys can all find positions where you're happy where you are at, and enjoying your job and enjoying where you are. So I also kind of wanted to throw out there too that Teamwork Online is one of the links that I've seen or I've sent to this class before to make sure you guys are checking those things, because they'll pick up temp workers. Is that right? That you'll sometimes just hire people for an individual game or whatever it is that you need just to get some bodies in the door to hand things out and things. Is that correct, Steve?
I think some teams do. We usually don't do it by game, but we'll for sure hire seasonal jobs. I mean, if you're just going to work here for the summer, even if hired people on our promotions teams, they live in Round Rock. When they're not in school, like they go to school. We've had people that go to school in like Boston, Kansas, like all over the place. But they're from Round Rock. So they come home, they're here from early May to early August, and we'll hire them for those 3 months. And so, yeah, if you're just looking for a summer job, like, yeah, absolutely. We'll hire for all kinds of stuff. Anything from promotions team to ushers to, finding an intern in the control room, to ticket interns, whatever it is. I mean, literally anything and everything we'll hire for the summer.
Awesome. All right. Anybody else? Okay, Bianca.
My question is, are there any challenges that you didn't expect coming whenever you were first like entering the job market?
I mean, I don't know. I would say I knew right off the bat that it was a hard industry to get into. I would say my first answer, my gut instinct would be to say finding a full-time job. But I kind of expected that a little bit. So it may be a cliche answer, but that's probably the answer that I have to go with, just because it is a competitive industry. Again, there's only so many people that have a certain role within that organization. There's only 30 MLB teams. There's only 32 NFL teams. There's only 30 NBA teams. There's only so many positions available across the country. Minor league baseball, again, it's a great start. You get well-rounded. There's a lot of open positions, and you get to learn how to do more than just one particular job. And so, minor league baseball to me is a great way to start out if you can find something. And it is a little easier to find than something at the professional level, because there are so many teams and so many more opportunities. So, again, I think finding a full-time job is a little hard to do right out of college in this industry, but if you're patient and you build up your resume, your opportunities will come for sure.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody, we'll probably take one more if there's one more floating out there. All right. Yeah, there we go, Mallory.
Yes, sorry. Did you ever work closely with the Texans pep band when you were making all the promotional videos and such? That's what I saw on your LinkedIn.
A little, I don't work with them too much. I would help set them up, like as far as all the audio and stuff on game day. Like we get there super early in the morning for a noon kickoff, and I would help set up their mics and run all their XLR cables and everything. And I didn't work super close with them. It was pretty much just set up on game day. I actually wasn't a big fan of that. Like even to this day, like I've never just been a fan of like a pep band in an NFL game. It just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't gel for me.
You because I was in that pet band.
Oh man,
that's part of the
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's okay.
Well, I'm sure you did a great job, but
I also was setting up the mics and such because they didn't let me do like the big boy, big girl drumming. But I was a percussionist in high school, and I was at every single home game. So when I saw that you were also at every home game, I was wondering if you ever worked closely.
Yeah, it was. It was cool. It was a great experience just there being there overall. I don't know. I always thought like pep bands gelled a lot more with college football, but I tried it, and I'm sure you did a great job. So.
All right, everyone. So let's go ahead, and you can take yourself off mute if you would like, but let's thank Steve for being here today. Steve, we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. We know you're wearing lots and lots of hats, but really appreciate you taking time to talk to our students. And this recording is probably going to be used by other asynchronous students. So thank you for being here.
Sure. No, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to help out. Like I mentioned, I go back to Larry's class whenever he's teaching that sports class, and I'm always happy to speak to my alma mater. So
wonderful. All right. Well, everybody say goodbye to Steve, if you would, real quick.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Sure.
Steve.
Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Nice talking to y'all.
All right. Have a great day, Steve.
You too.
For those of you guys who are still in the session, make sure to check out txstatemcweek.com for the rest of the session details for this week. And we will see you online.